Rob Font versus Jose Aldo,
Well,
or Full versus NT Doe.
he's been waiting to do this, guys.
Now, Dominic, did you have anything you wanted to share with the class?
I think it's a pretty cool poster, guys. But I get the argument for Fall versus Antito. I will agree with everyone that the font, no pun intended, is not the best choosing of the poster, but everything else about it's cool.
I do like the look outside of that, but it is funny. Dominic, whenever he's the one that sends a poster, he typically does it before there's any opinion out on it. Like, I remember he told me he liked the Robert Whittaker versus Kelvin Gastelum poster, and that's maybe the worst. That might be the worst poster that's ever been created by any fight promotion ever. So, yeah, that tells you anything about Dominic. The man is very positive. Font versus Aldo. Now I'm struggling to say their names correctly. So, yeah, so let's talk about this bantamweight division off the top, because I know we've talked about it a lot recently, but you have Peter Yan, who's now your interim champion. It looks like he's going to be fighting Aljamain Sterling next, I assume, who is the current bantamweight champion. You got TJ Dillashaw, who got a win in his comeback fight over Corey Sandhagen, over the summer. But then he's dealing with the knee injury, so he's kind of out for a while. And then Corey Sandhagen has now lost back-to-back fights to TJ Dillashaw and then Peter Yan. So he's kind of out of the title picture for the time being. So now Font versus Aldo, two of the guys that have been a bit overlooked in terms of how far they can really get in this division. And whether by luck or by misfortune of their opponents around them, Font and Aldo find themselves in a prime position to make a statement here, and potentially, maybe, just maybe, the winner here could say, "No, not so fast, TJ." Maybe they're next. Maybe they're next after that.
Yeah,
so
man.
What do you think of the fight?
This is a great fight, obviously. I mean, Rob Font, by the way, is one of the most underrated talents, and I think the entire UFC right now. And he's finally starting to get respect, especially after his great 5-round performance against Cody Garbrandt. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He's 9-3 in the UFC. The guy's been winning for years and years, and now is his prime time. As Noah said, he's ranked number 4, Jose Aldo number 5, his chance to take out a legend. And who would have thought that Jose Aldo, the former featherweight king, the 10-year unbeaten streak, he loses his belt to Max, he has a skid at featherweight, comes down to bantamweight, has a good performance against Marlon Moraes, but technically loses. So he was on a 3-fight losing streak at one time, and it looked like, maybe there's just not much light left at the end of the tunnel for Aldo. And here he is now off of 2 back-to-back great performances, potentially a win away from a title, getting a chance to maybe become a 2-weight world champion for the UFC. Crazy to see that Jose Aldo is at this stage of his career after all of this time and all these fights. And one of the craziest things in this fight is that, like I said, Rob Font is 34. Jose Aldo is only 35. Aldo has been in this game since he was a wee lad, and he's still at the top of the top, the creme de la creme. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, a stand-up back-and-forth war. Rob Font with the New England Cartel, Calvin Kattar, a fantastic boxer. Jose Aldo, a Swiss Army knife on the feet, his body work, his calf kicks. This is a fantastic bantamweight main event, Noah.
Yeah, that's really the battle here. Is Rob Font's going to be very heavy on the boxing pressure early, and we know how good Aldo's body work, his leg kicks are, but this could turn into a bit of a race. And if it does, we know one of the knocks on Aldo through his whole career, he's never had the best cardio.
Yep.
And I have no doubt that a guy like Rob Font will be able to go that full 25 minutes. He did it against Cody Garbrandt and looked pretty unfazed by it, if I'm being honest. So this could get into a war of nutrition. I think that's the phrasing that gets used typically. If so, I think it's a tough fight as the rounds go on for Aldo. So if you're Jose Aldo, you look to try to get a big lead or put him away early. You can't put him away. I mean, obviously, in order to put him away, you're going to have to exert a lot of energy. So there's not a perfect recipe here. But
right,
I say you try to get a lead early, and do as best you can to play defense in the later rounds and try to pull out a win that way. I'm not saying that he can't be done. It's a great fight, but it's one that, we're gonna find out a lot about Rob Font in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel very good about. I know who Jose Aldo is. He's one of the best fighters in UFC history, but he's also maybe a step less than that at this point.
Mm-hmm.
He's a contender by any stretch of the imagination. He is a contender, but maybe not champion level. Rob Font is still, even coming off a great performance against Cody Garbrandt, it's just still unclear. What do we really have in Rob Font? It's very clear by what you said. You really believe in his talent, and I think that's great. I think for good reason. But a win against Aldo in any fashion, I think, could answer a lot of questions, even more than it might have against Cody Garbrandt, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is a huge test for him. And it's one, too, where you were kind of comparing the cardio from both guys. I was really struggling to make a lot of predictions and picks for this whole UFC card. And this one especially, because I'm like, okay, I know Rob Fonts can go the distance and look good for 5 rounds. Jose's not the best in the late rounds, but can he finish? Like, I don't see this going 5 rounds. I think there's going to be a finish regardless. I think there's either an early finish for Aldo due to his pressure and his power, or a prolonged kind of pick your shot with Rob Font, get the late finish in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th round. Again, man, just a striking chess match. Who's going to get the upper hand? That's what it comes down to.